It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
It's time for Show Me the Franchise.
With Thomas and Frederick. With Thomas and Frederick.
Welcome to Show Me the Franchise, the podcast that talks about franchises of all shapes, sizes, backgrounds, genres, and types. I am one of your hosts, Tom Stedler, here with the man who likes to turn it up to 11, Mr. Fred Dakin.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, it's going well, Fred. We're winding down the month of January. We're fresh into 2026, digesting the burgers.
Definitely still digesting. Got a little burger inside me now.
Hey, it's all right. Wait.
Hamburger.
Oh,
Brown burger.
Because you had your chili today,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. And what's chili but a burger that's a soup.
A burger that's a soup. I don't know that I've ever heard it described like that.
Hamburger.
Yeah.
If there's hamburger in it. There was a lot of chicken chili.
How do you feel about a chicken chili versus a beef chili?
Usually that's a red flag at first. Like that's at first I'm like there's a shiver down my spine.
Uh-huh.
But usually when I engage with it, it's good. But if you're telling me like it's better than a turkey chili. If you're giving me like the worst thing I can ever get from a chili would be like a white bean turkey chili.
Ooh.
Any sort of light colored chili that scares me. I'd rather have a chowder if you're gonna go that route.
Yeah. I do like white bean chili, but I do feel like it's got to be very specific. I guess that it only is with chicken, right?
I feel usually that's what it is. And I am not like the white bean's low for me.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Rob Reiner would appreciate this? I think so.
I think this is very much in the spirit of Rob Reiner, considering this is very a Spinal Tap conversation.
Yeah, this is very diner adjacent conversations we're having.
Yeah.
You could see his dad and Mel Brooks like talking about it because, you know, they always used to hang out every day.
Right.
I'm sure little Reiner was hanging around, listening to his dad and Mel Brooks talk about soups.
Oh, absolutely. And probably, I mean, because you got to think, like, they were probably people who had soup opinions, right? They grew up in New York, a lot of great delis out there, obviously Jewish heritage, probably like had their favorite deli where they would go and be like, well, you know, you got to get this one. This is the right one. Right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So I can totally see it. I know it's a little bit of, you know, it's a tough topic because I feel like the way that Reiner's life ended was very sad. I think we should just kind of cover that right out the gate.
Yeah.
And kind of try and at least address the elephant in the room. But, you know, I think what was good about the outcome from that was that people were less focused on the tragedy of his death, but more the celebration of his life. And maybe I'm kind of fresh right now because I just watched Jay Kelly last night.
Hey.
And so I'm kind of thinking about, man, like the legacy that you leave, you know, in like your film career, but also with your family, which is tough because it's like, you know, he did have such a strong relationship with his dad and who was also such a beloved performer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very, very tragic, very sad how his life ended. And if it, you know, it turns out to be what it did. And obviously people can go and look up those details if you really want to learn more. But yeah, it was a great artist taken too soon. But we're here to celebrate him today, right?
Mm-hmm. Actor, director.
Activist. I mean, I think we should talk about the fact too that he was very, you know, involved with a lot of like helping movements that help people, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think you look at him, it's like it is somebody that should be celebrated. It's not like we're doing Kevin Spacey.
Yeah. You know, we'll see what's shaking when he dies, you know. We'll see. It's definitely not main feed.
No, I would say that's a deep, deep, dark web Patreon episode right there. But I guess before we really dive into Rob Reiner, I guess what was some of your earliest experiences with him, whether as an actor or a director?
I always thought that he was like a face that I recognized, but when I go back and look at his IMDb, I don't think there's really movies that I would have been watching as a young person.
Sure.
I think the first movie where I actually probably saw him was maybe Spinal Tap, but you're not really, when you're like 11 watching Spinal Tap, you're not locking into him at all.
Right.
You might see his face because he is funny in Spinal Tap, but his jokes are lost on the young man's watch.
Right. Well, and I think that's probably true to an extent that like he kind of disappeared as an actor for a long while until he's popped up like recently, like on like shows like The Bear again,
Mhm.
right? Which I thought he had a good role in there. I don't know if you
Oh yeah, that's I'm really into like late period Reiner acting.
Mm-hmm.
I always like seeing him popping up in movies. He was doing kind of the similar thing that who was another person we kind of lost too early from Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Director, glasses. Why can't-
Kirshner? No, not
No,
Kirshner.
why can't I think of his name right now?
I know. I'm like thinking of like his son Max. The dude has been carrying on his legacy.
Max Landis?
Yeah, Landis.
No, that's the wrong father son.
Not John Landis is not who you're thinking?
No.
Oh, Harold Ramis.
Harold Ramis. Yeah,
Sure, okay.
It was. I could picture his face.
Okay.
I could picture the actor from Shawshank Redemption playing him in the new Ghostbusters movie.
Oh
I could
my
picture
God.
that, but I still couldn't picture his name. But yeah, I feel both of those guys were guys who would pop up later
Mhm.
as actors and do like a one scene, and it would be like my favorite scene of any movie.
Yeah, because like what like Harold Ramis was like Seth Rogen's dad and like knocked up or something like that, or
Yes, and I'm trying to think what movie that oh god, Reiner did the same thing in a movie where he's like someone's dad in a comedy and he kind of does the pop in.
oh boy,
I might let you talk for a bit, but you know,
yeah. Well,
like, I was just gonna say because Reiner was like a sitcom actor at first, right?
yes, which we'll obviously cover in some of his history too, because I know that's how a lot of people knew him was from All in the Family, which was like his first big role, and he actually won an Emmy for that. But I do think the first movie I remember him being in, well, he is in When Harry Met Sally, right?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so that it's got to either be that or probably Spinal Tap, which I found Spinal Tap later in life. But the first movie of his that he directed, I watched, I think had to have been Princess Bride, just because that was such a kid-friendly movie. Perfect, like you're gonna watch a movie in the classroom at school, and I remember just being in stitches watching that for the first time. I thought everything with Mandy Patinkin and Andre the Giant was gold, and then especially when they had Sean or Wallace Shawn, that trio like
Mm-hmm.
had me cracking up.
Oh, the movie I found out that I was thinking of was he is Leonardo DiCaprio's dad in Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh yeah,
And so that's why I like had comedy dad, but it wasn't quite right. But it was because it's Leo in like that. Because that's like the most Apatow-y Scorsese movie ever.
oh absolutely.
So he's like playing a very much Apatow dad character in Wolf of Wall
Mhm.
Street, if I recall.
Yeah, I can totally see that because that is almost like a Adam McKay movie in a way too, and I think that's the same sensibilities as like a Judd Apatow, like somebody who's in close vicinity to that. Did you come into Princess Bride late or?
I came into it around like 12 or 13.
Okay.
That is one I like a lot of the movies that he has made. That's a movie I like and I don't love.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also a little fascinated that people who like go hard on it because that's another movie that's similar to like The Big Lebowski,
Mm-hmm.
where it's like there's people who like that's their identity.
Yeah.
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I just never got it.
I think there is a lot of nostalgia now with Princess Bride more than anything. It's the same people who love the Goonies. It's the same people who love like, all these like old movies. Like, oh, wasn't that such a great movie? Like, I'm trying to remember like what the most common example is.
And Goonies is like one where for some reason I saw that around the same age.
Mm-hmm.
I would definitely willingly say Princess Bride is a better movie than Goonies, and Goonies is like kind of a meh movie when you go back to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do have a soft spot for Goonies.
Sure.
I think the Princess Bride thing is it's like fantasy for normies.
Mm.
And at a time, like I think in the 80s where, that kind of nerd culture is still like, not as accepted.
Mm-hmm.
I felt this was taking some of those fantasy themes. It's Shrekifying it for, it's kind of the Shrek of our generation where
It's a good way
we're
to
going
put
to
it.
throw on this modern language, modern jokes on this fairy tale fantasy story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how it's going to feel modern at the same time as feeling like throwback.
Yeah. I have a take on Reiner movies in general that I'll throw at you, but I'm maybe gonna couch it for right now, just because
Okay.
I'm curious what you'll think of it as we start getting into the movies. But I guess I do want to just say, it's like it's definitely Princess Bride, but a lot of his movies, they're so seminal for their era though too. And I think that's what's so interesting about them is that a lot they are easy to glom onto. People are like all about When Harry Met Sally. Like that's my favorite rom-com. I do love that movie. That'll give a spoiler on. But like there are ones though too. Like people are like, oh, Stand By Me was my movie, or Spinal Tap is like my movie. Like I love these things. And it's so interesting that's kind of become his legacy is just having this heater of a run and then just I don't know, never quite replicated it after that. But I guess, why do you think he did have like this such a handle on it? Do you think it's that comedy background that helped kind of like build this legacy for him where he just was able to sort of dive into whatever?
Well, it's that, and I say this in a way that is not. I don't say this as a criticism. He's a nepo baby, so he's around the business, and if you grow up around the business, I think you're gonna have a knack for what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah. No, I think that's a very good point. And I think, especially, yeah, when you are hanging with your dad and somebody like Mel Brooks, who also tackled a lot of genres, Mel Brooks episode that we're probably inevitably going to do one day is going to be something. But maybe this is a chance for us to talk a little bit about where Rob Reiner came from, because I think there's going to be a lot of great documentaries that come out in the coming year, or probably more,
And some bad crime docs as well.
Yeah.
unfortunately. I'm not looking forward to seeing that all over my streaming.
I think I even saw one already on Hulu, and I was like,
It's coming.
Can we not? So I just want to give a brief history, though, kind of where he came from, because I think we really should just talk about his body of work. That's what we're doing here today, is really talking about the things that are worth celebrating. So he was born in the Bronx. He's from New York City, March 6, 1947, to Carl Reiner, as we talked about already, and his wife Estelle, who were both actors. The family eventually moved to L.A., where Reiner made his television acting debut at the age of 14 on a series called Manhunt, which I'm not familiar with. I was thinking about, isn't Manhunt the name of the first, like, Hannibal?
Manhunter is what you're thinking of.
With Brian Cox's Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. Which, it's another episode.
The Hannibals?
I think so. Wouldn't you?
I'd love it, but have you watched the show?
No, but I think that's a good reason to do it.
Good show.
See, this is what I'm trying to
A
say.
lot of Mads.
Yeah. And see, I love Mads Mikkelsen. So I've been trying to find a reason to watch that. I think that could be a good in. Anyway, back to Reiner. His first big, like, starring role was as Michael Meathead Stivic in the U.S. sitcom All in the Family, which he, as I mentioned, got an Emmy Award. He actually won 2 Emmys for Best Outstanding or Most Outstanding Actor, Supporting Actor in the show, which I guess would be right because it would be Archie Bunker, who was the main guy. Had you watched All in the Family?
No.
Okay. I have not watched a lot of it. I've probably caught more bits and maybe like an episode for school. And it's definitely a show that I feel like would be a little challenging, especially in the climate today, because Archie is just sort of a raging conservative. And that's very much built on him and Rob Reiner, who is the liberal son-in-law, like just getting into it.
So it's like every Tim Allen show that comes out now.
Yeah, basically. I think, but it was like the launching pad for so many shows. The Jeffersons were like their neighbors. So I was like, here he has a black neighbor. He's got I know, the shock, the horror. Maud, the great B. Arthur, she was like a part of that show too. And she got her own spinoff before Golden Girls. I'm pretty sure I'm missing something else. Maybe it's like Good Time or something like that, or Good Times.
Good Times is a show. Good Time is a Safdie Brothers movie.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking of. Good Times. It might be that one.
Now that whole like 60s, 70s, I've never really seen any of those sitcoms. Sometimes I would catch Three's Company for some reason. That was like in syndication that I would catch, but those I've never seen, like your Sanford and Sons and all those.
Yeah, I think it's more of like it was groundbreaking for the time because I think they were tackling subject matters that people were not comfortable talking about on TV. So I think it kind of lends itself to the legacy of Rob Reiner in that, because he was somebody who was willing to not only tackle these issues in that role, but also kind of like put his money where his mouth is off the stage too, or off the screen, and kind of say, yeah, this is not just the character I play. This is actually stuff I believe in. But, again, I don't know that that's necessarily content people will enjoy right now, because I think everybody's a little too embroiled in politics as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But, I mean, that was really where he made his name. So I think he did a couple other acting roles along the way. But beginning in the 80s, then Reiner basically turned to director. And his first major outing was This Is Spinal Tap, which we had mentioned. What was your first exposure to Spinal Tap? Like, when did you finally come across it?
Watched it in my grandmother's van.
Mhm.
Didn't know what it was, and I thought like I'm watching it
How old were you?
like 9 or 10
Oh, wow.
maybe.
Oh,
I wasn't sure what it was, and I think I was almost too young the first time to like lock into the humor of it.
mm-hmm.
It's almost like you don't even know there's jokes happening because it's this like documentary style. Same thing happened with I saw Best in Show too young. Those Christopher Guests, I feel you want to be like 14 or 15.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like 10 or 11 watching him, just a little too young. I mean, I think some kids locked into it, but it was a struggle at first. Eventually I came to like it. I know Christopher Guest isn't the director for that one. It's Rob Reiner, but I put that as like probably my third or fourth favorite of the Christopher Guest style movies.
Oh, that's interesting. So what's your number one?
It's really a dead tie. I think the best one is A Mighty Wind.
Mm-hmm.
And then my favorite one, the one that if I want to laugh the most, is Best in Show.
Oh, yeah.
I've come around. Best in Show, I think, is the one I laugh the most watching.
Sure.
But I think A Mighty Wind I like the most because it's actually got like touching moments.
Yeah, I agree though. I think Best in Show is a movie that on a repeat viewing kind of, I don't know, it endears itself more to you, I think, as you start to understand the characters a little bit
Mhm.
more. I think just everybody's kind of cooking in that movie too.
Yeah, and I do I like Spinal Tap a lot, but I'm also not like, I feel it also helps if you grew up in like more the 80s and early 90s and you're like a rock person.
Sure.
Because so many like ex-rock people who love like 80s metal and stuff like that, that's like the synergy why it's a sweet spot for them, I think, is the comedy and the music, even though the music's goofy in it.
Yeah, which I think that is part of what I do enjoy the most about it. And I think Spinal Tap found me at a good age. Like you said, you want to be kind of 15, 16. I'm pretty sure I was like 15 or 16 when I first watched it. And I was old enough to kind of get the jokes. I had a love already for kind of like hair metal, which we did an episode on, obviously. But I think that was also probably my first time I really got to see Rob Reiner, because, like I said, I never really watched All in the Family. I know I kind of glossed past some other roles that he did. He didn't really do a lot other that was very prominent. He did a lot of like here and there. Like he had a role, like a small role in The Jerk. But I like jumping into this because this is not only a movie he directed, this is also a movie that he's very prominently in, being the fake director, Marty DeBurgi, who is following the band around. And he is just sort of the straight man that can kind of bring you into the action. And I mean, there's a lot of good laughs. I think it is probably a movie that I find every time I watch it, it doesn't necessarily get better for me. And that's sort of the take I wanted to say. I don't know that there's many Rob Reiner movies that hold up as well on a repeat viewing. Not that they don't stay good, but I think one of the things that I have found with a lot of these, and Spinal Tap's the perfect example. When you watch it the first time, everything hits so hard because it's all fresh and the jokes are really tight and you get it.
Mhm.
But when you kind of know when to expect them, for some reason, they don't quite hit the same way. I think because they are kind of almost like shocking in a way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you ever find that? Like,
Yeah, and I also feel like maybe not as much on other sets at this time. This movie feels like there might have been a little cocaine on the set.
oh, yeah.
Like this movie has a little bit of a cokey energy to it, I'll
Mhm.
say.
But I think it's also the spirit of the fact that they're basically improvising so much of the dialogue,
Mhm.
right? I mean, you almost have to keep up the energy. You have to commit to whatever the hell you're saying.
But also movies like The Last Waltz have cokey energy, and that's kind of what they're playing off of too, you
Mhm.
know.
So, I mean, it wouldn't shock me though if I find out people
Mhm.
were, doing a line and
Ripping toots. I don't know what people say.
yeah, what is it? Yeah, ripping a line or
Yeah.
snort.
Bumping.
Yeah, taking a bump or
Yeah.
either way. I can totally see that. I do think it's something that I enjoyed a lot when I first watched it, though, and I was like, "Okay, I get this." And
Mhm.
that was kind of, I think I tried watching like Best in Show or something before that, and it didn't quite click with me. This was the thing that finally was like, "Okay, I think I get now why this is fun." And this was also fresh off me. I think finally learning like what improv was,
Mhm.
because that was like part of my middle school education was getting into improv, and I was like, "Oh, that's what they're doing on camera," and off screen or totally tangential to me making movies at home with my friends, that's how we would do it too. We would basically just draw up a premise. We would never write lines out. We would just be like, maybe we'll hit this line or maybe we'll hit this like idea, but we're mostly just going to improvise the dialogue as we go along. So I think I kind of felt like this was the first movie that was sort of felt more in the spirit of the stuff that I was making with my, my
Mhm.
goofy friends and
Yeah.
shit. So I enjoy it, but I think for every one of these movies, I get if it's not your jam. Like it's
But
it,
no, this one I do enjoy. It's just not my favorite of the Christopher Guests.
sure. Um what about, I guess, yeah, we can maybe start going through his catalog here because a lot of more of the history kind of ties into his movies.
Mhm.
The biggest thing I want to touch on when we get there is really just when he develops his own company, Castle Rock Entertainment, because that's became pretty synonymous with a lot of the movies that came out of that. But um, so I mean, it was at least a success. Spinal Tap was, right. People still love it. We got a sequel this year that I don't know many people, or last year that a lot of people were asking for.
Mhm.
That just, I can, we can maybe discuss that now just because I feel like, have you seen Spinal Tap too?
I did not. No.
Neither. Yeah. And I don't know. I'm not racing to see it.
Yeah, it's around.
Yeah.
It's on something.
It feels like it just was maybe trying to recapture something that wasn't there. I think it was the Greg Marcus ads in the Marcus teasers
Yeah,
that kind of gave it a little bit of a strange scent.
definitely. Yeah, they're Greg. He's doing stuff now. I think, but I have a theory that they filmed those with like a bunch of different theater people,
Oh, sure.
and it's like a green screen thing because those look so weird.
Oh yeah, the ad you're talking about?
Yes.
Oh yeah. There was something off-putting or just something that didn't look
Mhm.
right with
There's
it.
an Aziz one too for when Good Fortune came out.
Yeah.
That was also a little off.
Yeah.
Like they're talking to nothing, maybe.
Yeah. Like it just, which I don't know. I feel like Greg Marcus obviously is somebody that probably is like, I'm going to do this where I can and
Mhm.
when I can. And I'm sure everybody else has their own schedule. So
Yeah.
it was strange. Uh, Following year, Rob Reiner. So that was 1984. He did this as Spinal Tap. 1985 was The Sure Thing. Have you seen that?
I have not, never even heard of it.
I was mostly reading about this as the news was coming out about his death, and like there was a lot of that fallout. The most I think I heard about it though, I think Laura Dern might be in it or something like
I'd
that.
love to see it.
Certainly do. I certainly like the people. Like I thought it was like a good cast. Might be John Cusack too.
Mhm. Well, it is weird that it's like within that run people talk about, but it's not really mentioned.
It's certainly the least known, and I don't feel bad or feel like I'm wrong saying that.
Oh.
If you ask a random person, you've seen The Sure Thing. And they're
Yeah, and
like,
people aren't tuning in to hear the Sure Thing talk.
yeah.
And if you are, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I guess Laura Dern is not in this movie. I don't know who I was thinking of, but it is a Cusack role. And Anthony Edwards, which you love to see that guy. I don't know, but
Is
I
he
know
the Brat Pack guy? No.
Anthony Edwards,
No, he's
ER.
Yeah, ER and Zodiac.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's kind of in all that different stuff. Little Tim Robbins in there too, apparently. But I only mention this because I think when people talk about this run, they're like, "Oh, there were a couple duds," but I think everything I've heard is that people like the movie who have seen it. It's just, yeah, like you said, it's not like one everyone's reaching for. The following year, I think, is the one people are reaching for because he goes from doing this rock mockumentary. The Sure Thing sounds like kind of a coming of age movie where John Cusack is like, I guess he's in a sexual dry spell and he's like trying to get laid or something like that, meets a girl. But the following year is Stand By Me, where he starts to dive into Stephen King. This isn't a scary movie, but this definitely is a different type of coming of age movie.
Yeah, and it's also he's one of the first people to do the Stephen King right in a way. I feel like him and Frank Darabont are the two people who adapt the best. It's just interesting which stories they both chose to adapt because I think it's both of those directors lean towards the Stephen Kings that aren't super crazy scary. I mean, there's one later that is you could consider more of the horror, but even that one's more of like a thriller, I would say.
Yeah.
Because what I like about both these directors, Rob Reiner and Frank Darabont, they kind of highlight that he's not just a horror writer, that he's also just a good writer. And
Yeah.
you can tell Rob Reiner thinks that by how much of the actual dialogue is just like kind of copy pasted over into like it's narrated with the Stephen King dialogue pretty much, or not, words from the short story.
Mm-hmm. I thought it was interesting because Stephen King did a whole like write up. I think I sent that to you, right? About like his experience working with Rob Reiner after he passed away.
I don't remember seeing that come through, but I'll have to check it out.
I will have to send that to you again. It was a short but sweet piece where he was basically just like, he's like, obviously I'd had some experiences with directors who are a little tougher to work with, like Kubrick, where he very much not in aligned on the direction of The Shining, but Stephen King said that every experience he had with Rob Reiner was good. And he was like, it was kind of weird that he was so into this story because he's like, I'd never met him. I wasn't like an advocate of his, but I was just like, oh, I guess this guy's done a couple movies. But he said like he got invited, the first time we really met him was when he got invited to see, like really, really meet him. He went to watch the screening for the movie. And Stephen King was like, I was in tears by the end not because like, necessarily it was the best movie I've ever seen. He's like, it was a very good movie, but he's like, he basically put my childhood on screen, like captured exactly like every feeling and moment and like look and all that stuff that I was remembering about it. And he's like, so it's like, he said it was one of his favorites of the adaptations anyone did because he just felt like Reiner really had the right sensibility and the right hand for the story.
Yeah, and this comes from, I just pulled it up because I was trying to remember the name of it, Different Seasons, and it's 4 novellas in one book. And the other, there's 3 in it. One's called, 3 more. One's called The Body. The other is Rita Hayworth in The Shawshank Redemption.
Oh, wow.
And then the third or fourth, however you want to say, is The Apt Pupil, which is a movie with Ian McKellen and I think Brad Renfro. I think it's directed by Bryan Singer.
Ooh.
But 3 out of 4 stories from this 4-part novella that have been adapted to successful movies, which I think is kind of crazy.
That
All
is.
from one thing, especially those 2, Stand By Me and The Shawshank Redemption. I think the other one has been adapted in like short series and stuff like that, like Tales from the Crypt style thing.
Oh,
But
okay.
so they've all been adapted, but I think 2 out of 4 are like what people would call like classic movies, I would say, especially Shawshank. But still, even so, Stand By Me.
Well, and the fact that these were short stories, as you just said, that got extrapolated into a bigger movie, which I think lends itself. We might be talking about the Shawshank Redemption, maybe later this month or something like that. But Oscar season's coming up. But I do think there is something so interesting about the way he approached this movie, and it's a movie I haven't seen in a long time. But it was so well cast too. I mean, River Phoenix really kind of like his like, if not his breakout, then certainly like one of his defining roles, right? In a very tragically short career. Another person gone too soon. But you got like Will Wheaton in there,
Mhm.
Corey Feldman, Jerry O'Connell,
Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer. Right? It's like there is no small role in this. Like every actor like went on to do something else.
Mm-hmm.
And
Do you say John Cusack?
is Cusack in this?
Cusack's his brother.
That's right.
Mhm.
Man. Nope, I didn't get that far down. And Richard Dreyfuss is also in this.
Yeah.
One day we'll have a little more Dreyfuss chat. But I mean, I think it's definitely for people who are like, oh, I don't like scary. It's like this is the one Stephen King movie you can handle. And I think you look at the way Reiner just was able to weave in and do something so different. And I mean, also kind of pick up on another Nepo with Sutherland, but sometimes Kiefer, he does okay.
Mm-hmm. Not so much recently.
Maybe not so
I
much.
think he's up to a little no good recently.
Yeah, I think he's been maybe a little problematic. I don't know, but I do think Stand By Me probably is one that it won't be necessarily the first thing everyone talks about Rob Reiner, but it's definitely going to be one of the movies that gets best remembered, like when people start really exploring his catalog.
Mm-hmm.
So then The Princess Bride is the following year, and we've talked a little bit about Princess Bride already. I mean, I guess where I would say this is one thing when you look at the 4 movies we've already talked about. You got kind of like a romantic comedy, coming of age story, rock mockumentary or whatever, right? Something that's almost like entirely its own animal. For him then to go into a fantasy comedy that also kind of has a little bit of action and everything else, like he really has established himself by this point as like a master of like tackling different genres.
Mm-hmm. He's like I think the term they use a lot now is like a journeyman director, someone who doesn't leave a mark of what their directing style looks like, but works in, multiple genres.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely, he's kind of like, because I don't think there's a distinct feel and look to all Rob Reiner movies. I don't necessarily pick up on one.
No, he's not a what do you want to say? Like not a genre director. What am I trying to think of? Like an auteur?
Yeah, or just like a director where like if you watch a minute of their movie, this is like like if you watch a minute of like a Fincher movie or a Tarantino or like even a Scorsese, you kind of know who's directing it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good way to put it.
So
But
he has that chameleonic ability to kind of work in different genres.
yeah, and I think when you do look at this compared side by side with Stand By Me, which I don't know why you necessarily would, but Stand By Me, you definitely feel like you are in a period piece, right? And it's like you feel like you are in, is it the 60s, 50s?
It's 50s.
And like it has that feel of what the movie It kind of became, right? It kind of really picked up on like that, almost like that movie walked so that it could find its own voice in this recent series, like Welcome to Derry, the remake, the one with Tim Curry. Like I they're almost like so ingrained, and it's hard to ignore the stylistic choices that Stand By Me made and not think about those. And it's just sort of a somber, I don't know, kind of outing. Whereas this is very raucous. It's very like,
Swashbuckling.
yes, I think it's extremely swashbuckling.
Well, yeah, it all makes sense to me. Again, going back to like growing up as, having Carl Reiner's dad being surrounded by the business, where, like I think passed down was a mentality of like, we're making pictures, like you don't make one kind of movie, and you don't make one kind of movie for one audience.
Yeah.
I think that kind of mentality is definitely in his work.
And I think what you just said, though, is right. Why I think this movie has so much affection for so many people, because it does capture so many different themes, genres, moods. Like there's legitimately scary parts, right? Like or like traumatic parts where he's getting like tortured, and then you have laugh out loud moments where he can't, like Cary Elwes can't move his body. I think it's the biggest thing though that always stuck with me is that how much all the actors seem to love working on this movie. And you had kind of just a murderer's row of people in it, right? I mentioned Mandy Patinkin and Andre the Giant already, but Cary Elwes, Robin Wright. You had
Chris Sarandon, Christopher Guest.
Christopher Rand. Yep, both the Christophers. Billy Crystal in for a spell, Carol Kane. Like, I mean, you just get a lot of people doing a little bit of something, and then you got Fred Savage, another guy who's had some recent
Peter
issues.
Falk, though.
But that Peter Falk, and does he have that voice? His first really, like, I don't know, maybe his most seminal role outside of Columbo.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, I'm sure people can be like, "Oh no, there was this other thing he did."
Oh, the Cassavetes movies and stuff, which might come up on a different episode.
Ooh, well, I'm looking forward to talking about that. But I certainly feel like Princess Bride made an impact in a similar way. I do feel like you do. And like, this is not making my top, my letterbox 4 or anything like that.
Oh, but this is like so many people's favorite movie, and I respect that. I don't think that's a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
For me, I struggle with the tonal shifts when I watch the movie.
Interesting.
And usually that doesn't bother me, but for some reason, this movie, that was always my hang up with it, even though I do like it, is like, I'm not in sync with the feelings because I feel it is jumping around so much. But again, like if it's on, it's very watchable.
Yeah. It is interesting though so far though too, because I don't know about God, I almost called it Say Anything. What is that movie? The Sure Thing. I don't think that was based on a book, but these last two were based on a book. And I think Princess Bride, I know it is a book that's almost kind of meta, and some people thought it was not an adaptable story, but he sort of found a way by almost kind of making it like feel like a storybook on stage or on screen. So I get why it might not sing for you. And again, I have some things of like I don't feel like it's ever been as good as the first time I watched it. Like I was keeling over laughing. There are so many other movies. There's Mel Brooks movies that I'm still like laughing hard at like Young Frankenstein. There's jokes that still work for me, like 10 out of 10. This one, I'm like diminishing returns of like the inconceivable line. I'm like, all right, I get it. I've heard it. And I think it's all the people that quote it too. And I'm like,
yeah, it's one of those things where like I get the ick if someone quotes Princess Bride.
yeah.
But again, I still respect it. I think it was, seminal for the time. Another thing with a lot of these Reiner movies we're talking about, it also, and I'll invoke another podcast, they are very rewatchable. And like, I'm pretty sure most of these movies have been on the rewatchables.
Yeah.
That's the kind of movies he makes, I guess.
And I do want to clarify too, when I say they're never quite as good, I do think they are rewatchable and they're still good movies. They're fun to watch. Like, I mean, we're going to talk about it in a little bit. A Few Good Men, every time that came out, that's a remote dropper. Like when you pop that on AMC or something like that, you're not turning that off.
Yeah, that's the collaboration that I enjoy the most with Rob Reiner.
Oh,
is him and Sorkin.
Yeah. Which we'll get there. Which actually we're about to get into here because basically hot off this, I mean, at this point, Reiner's had 4 critically well received movies following
Mhm.
Princess Bride. I think regardless of how the box office is, which I think they're all pretty well done. We're doing this in a very fast forward romance. There's so many movies we got to do. I think with directors, we just cannot go one by one by one by one and
No.
keep talking through everything. So we are gonna glance past a few things, but Reiner named the company based on the fictional Maine town of the same name from a series of stories by Stephen King.
Yeah, and like most like there's so many stories that take place in Castle Rock.
Mm-hmm. And he, which I think is maybe his best like nod to him, and maybe a premonition of things to come. The fact that he does adapt another Stephen King movie after he created this company. But basically, he and a couple other people decided to start up this company, and we're going to self fund. And basically, it was right following. It sounded like Stand By Me. I think that's where they finally got the capital to make this happen. So they formed it, and that's where they finally were able to go and get like an 8-picture joint venture in order to kind of keep this thing rolling. And the first movie that really was under this flagship was When Harry Met Sally. So he
Mhm.
calls up Crystal, who has been in a small role in a couple of his movies so far, and says, I need you as the lead here now. And we get, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what the sure thing really is. People were kind of like, there's one genre, one genre, one genre. But now he's tackling what I think is really his first true romantic comedy. And I go out there and say has an argument for being one of the best, if not.
Definitely like the temp. It's been like I've only seen it once, and I was very young. It's one I would like to go back with. With the way things shook out, but
Mhm.
it is definitely the blueprint for so many romantic comedies to come, and even like movies like They Came Together, that's spoofing the romantic comedy. It all kind of ties to a movie like When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah, and it's his first collaboration. I can't remember if they even do another one again with Nora Ephron, who, if you've watched Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, you know Nora Ephron. She's
Mhm.
kind of the queen of the romantic comedy, but no Tom Hanks in this one. Nope. Instead, Meg Ryan has Billy Crystal, which is an interesting match, but a fun one. And I do think if I look down the list of all the Reiner movies, I'd probably say this is maybe my favorite of them all. There was a quote from it that was on a card at my wedding. It's from the speech that Billy Crystal gives at the end of the movie, where he finally kind of admits his feelings for Sally. And I just think so many people have seen this type of story done more cringy, like maybe more melodramatic, and it's just kind of fun to see it more as like I don't know. It's like you kind of wondered, should these people really be together?
Mhm.
And I think the great framing device is them talking to the real life couples that they recorded and telling their stories of how they first met and all that. Great date night movie, Fred, if you're looking for one.
Oh, great. Thank you.
If you need to revisit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good sweaters.
Great sweaters. Great looking New York movie. Looks like
Mhm.
autumn in New York. Looks amazing.
Would you say New York is like a character in the film?
I would maybe go and be so bold to say
Mhm.
it's like a character.
And as you mentioned before, Rob Reiner's in it.
Yeah,
So that's nice.
he is. It's an acting role for him that he gave himself.
Mhm.
And I just feel like this is him at the peak of his powers, though. And he's got Billy Crystal in his prime, like rattling things off. I think the jokes still hit just as hard. The diner scene is still very
Mhm.
uncomfortable to watch, which I think tells you it's good a legacy joke. I don't know, but what are your thoughts on When Harry Met Sally overall?
No, I think it was mostly the things I said with the kind of setting the template for future rom coms, which is kind of a big deal. The autumnal New York vibes is always nice. Great sweaters.
Mm-hmm.
I always love to see Billy.
Yeah, Carrie Fisher doing some work in this movie too.
I'm sure she threw down on some writing in there too. I bet
Yeah,
she's been known to ghostwrite on stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's like people have had trouble tracking down what she actually ghost wrote on because she like completely was like, "Do not give me credit for this. I just want to help punch it up."
Yeah.
But yeah, she was the what do you call it? The cleaner or the fixer. That might be what I'm trying to think of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the wolf from Pulp Fiction.
Mm-hmm.
But he had like a very specific
I
name.
thought he was just the wolf.
He might have just been the wolf. I thought, but he's like, "Oh, I got a fixer, somebody who can clean up the situation." But I mean, maybe one of her better roles outside of
Austin Powers. Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back.
I almost was good about to pull that up. Jay and Silent Bob.
She's pretty good.
Yeah, she's got a good role in that. But do you do it?
Mhm.
Can you do it for me? Oh man, that is very funny. Bruno Kirby though too.
Love some BK.
BK. I mean that for that group right there. Everybody was doing Meg Ryan doing I think some of her best work too. I like her fine in Sleepless Seattle and You've Got Mail. I think she's doing more in this movie though. She feels more like a 3-dimensional character to me.
Nepo mother.
But we do love ourselves a little Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
He's one of the guys that I'm like, he doesn't bug me because he is a little like Reiner, where I was like, I think he's got legitimate talent.
He almost did.
How's that?
Just almost this. It wasn't his fault. Like he almost got oversaturated last year.
Yeah.
The companion and the one where he doesn't have any feelings or whatever.
Oh, no
that was,
Kane?
yeah, that was kind of like a 1-2 punch, like little Pedro syndrome. But I'm excited for him just to kind of be popping in and being in movies here and there.
Yeah.
Same with Pedro.
Oh, I mean, I still like both those guys. Just need to spread it out.
Sometimes you need to spread it out a little. But that's what happens to all like actors that hit. They'll have that moment where they're just in everything.
Yep, Glenn Powell. Now we got what, Jack O'Connor or Jack O'Connell?
Jack O'Connor, yeah.
Yeah, Jack O'Connor. Okay.
Weenie.
Yeah. But yeah, I think it's hard to not point at this one and say, again, I just mentioned those other Nora Ephron movies. Do they not borrow more from this one than anything else? Like,
Other than Michael. Michael was big in my house.
is that the John Travolta Michael?
Yeah, where he's an angel.
Oh my God.
I like that movie. John Hurt, The Big Hurt.
I didn't know John Hurt was in that. Isn't there somebody else though who's like another like mainstay? Isn't it just like
The Substance's mother.
The Substances?
Margaret Qualley's mom.
Oh, Annie McDowell?
Yeah, she's in it. She's the
Oh.
love interest. Not with Michael, but with John Hurt.
You had me thinking about, I'm like, Demi Moore has a mom that's alive in that movie? Or like, I don't know. You had me all over the place right there.
I was trying to think of like who the other guy is. Oh, and the movie that I watched for the first time was Julia and Julia, which I had never seen. And I kind of agree with everyone else's opinion, which is the scenes with Julia Child are great. And then the Amy Adams stuff is a little boring. I was trying to see who's the other Bob Hoskins and Robert Pastorelli are also in Michael. Michael's a fun watch.
It is.
I wouldn't say it's a rewatchable, but it's got stuff.
I remember watching it at my grandparents and I remember enjoying it, but I'm also kind of like, I didn't think that was the one you necessarily going to reach in your pocket for when you're bringing up their type of movies.
I feel like that and You Got Mail were my big Nora movies.
Yeah. Sleepless in Seattle's got some stuff though. It's fun. I think we'll keep moving though, because then we're in what was called like Reiner's like big run. He had, I mean, starting with Spinal Tap, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 like bangers, I think you could say. Or I mean, I don't know. The Sure Thing's maybe the one anomaly and people still liked it, but he's in an unmatchable run. I think even people like Spielberg and others, they have their duds in the mix of a lot of great movies. So the next one he did tackle something that also kind of came from Castle Rock in a way, Misery.
Yeah.
I'll let you start talking about Misery because I know you're the Stephen King stan.
Well, I like this. I think this is one of the ones where I do kind of almost prefer watching the movie than reading the book, because the book is a good first time read because it has kind of two narratives. One is the narrative that's happening, and also you're getting chapters of the book that he's writing.
Oh,
That
interesting.
he's being forced to, write while he's staying there. There is really great Stephen King methodology stuff of how he's like holding on to the pills and stuff. If people don't know, Misery is a story about a writer a Stephen King book about a writer, if you
Yeah.
can believe it.
Unbelievable.
Lives in Maine. I don't know if he lives in Maine in this one, but he's driving through the snow. In the book, he's drinking champagne because he just finished a book. Crashes his car in the snow. He gets saved by some lady who seems like she's not all there in the movie. She's played by Kathy Bates.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a Stockholm Syndrome hostage movie where he's stuck being healed. Well, also a little Munchausen vibes too.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of this balance of he's trying to appease her. She's his biggest fan. And she wants him to write the ending to his book that she wants. Pluribus, I watched like the first half of the first episode. I'm going to watch it all, but it was giving me a little bit of Misery vibes.
Oh, in Pluribus?
Yeah, just because people like have their opinions about how a book should go down. And like, there's that one line where the one person's like, I won't be, I'm done if this happens. And that was a very Annie Wilkes line as the character. The thing about this movie is, even though, it's considered maybe a thriller horror, it's probably one of the coziest thriller horror movies you could ever throw on. Like,
for sure.
I think anyone, if your horror threshold's a little low, could still throw on like a nice thick pair of socks, make some hot cocoa, get under a blanket and watch this movie and feel cozy.
Yeah.
Even though it's got hobbling in it.
Yeah, you have one of the most unsettling, and I think this is one of the things that I will say, because there's two pieces of this movie that I really enjoy, and I've been long overdue to revisit it because it's been a long time since I've watched it. But to the Reiner aspect of it, I think this really like cements him as somebody who, I don't know if it was him or if he had a really good casting director, but he could get people who could flat out act or just seem perfectly fit for these roles they were in. And you could say that all the way back to Spinal Tap, start with like Michael McKean, Christopher Guest doing like their roles. You look at, we talked to Stand By Me, you had all these kids who were going to be doing something big to some extent after that fact. You look at When Harry Met Sally, we talked about it. The two leads, the two supporting actors in that really carried that movie. They're all fantastic in it. This movie, especially though, you have two people basically in this entire movie. It's just like two characters you're sharing the screen time. And it's funny that you had Bruno Kirby in the last movie, because then he goes and gets James Caan for this. And it's like he's collecting all of his like Godfather alums, which I don't think he ever got to work with Pacino or anybody, right? Or
No.
But you had Kathy Bates, who was not the Kathy Bates that people know now. This was really her like star-making role, I think.
Back when I forget the whole situation with the Coen brothers. She's living with someone.
She's living with
Frances McDormand.
Yeah.
And like she's part of that cluster of people.
I think it was.
And there was drama.
Yeah.
This was like the Ashley Tisdale group chat drama that's happening, but like with actors where they were like, Kathy Bates is a shitty roommate, like stuff like that.
So yeah, because it was Bates, it was Frances McDormand, and then was it Holly Hunt?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
and Cohen's bumping around. Not in all this. I don't think it was all in the same house, but they're like in proximity.
But I think Joel or Ethan. I can't remember which one's married to Frances McDormand. Joel. And so I think he was coming over with Ethan, and then they were either rooming or friends with like Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
And so like everybody's just, and then somehow Barry Sonnenfeld's involved with that shit. He at least works with it. So you have this group of just people that were like ready to boil over and go and each make their significant mark on Hollywood. But this was Kathy Bates though breaking out. bringing something that I like, and this is the part two, also to what Reiner's style is, and I think this is probably one of his other best triumphs as a genre. Because you mentioned it's cozy, it feels a little claustrophobic because he's just stuck in this bedroom, right? James Caan is like hobbled, he's in bed. I love a Stephen King story where the supernatural is not really part of it. It is just talking about the evil of people, like, and that the monster can just be somebody who is so obsessive. And like, I think that's why Shawshank works so well for me. And you talked about it too, right? You know, him and Darabont, Reiner and Darabont were really big into the like supernatural scary movies. And like, I love The Shining. I love all the Stephen King supernatural. We talked about it. But this one just, I think it's so unsettling because you can envision yourself being in that situation. Like this could happen to you theoretically. And that scares the crap out of me.
That's what you thought when you saw that Carlo Cugino movie.
Oh, God.
Is that what you're like, this could happen to me?
I mean, listen, if a dude was coming into my bedroom at night while I'm handcuffed to a bed, I'd be a little unsettled. I suppose, or yeah.
Dog checking in every once in a while. Are you dead yet? Can I eat you?
Oh, God. Everything about that movie is so unsettling.
Flanagan.
Or that story. That is Mike Flanagan.
Still can't think of the name of the book. But
Gerald's Game.
there it is. I was like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Don't even worry about it. I got you. I do.
Tom just pulled a copy of Gerald's Game out from the closet next to
I
his
love the
computer.
premise.
Yeah.
Love a premise. No, never.
Oh, this book isn't opening correctly.
Fred, I have my vices. I have my things that I don't want to be known. And Gerald's Game's one of them. Well, you know. But this movie, I think, great casting, great atmosphere. I think this is really one of Reiner's, like, oh, man, he just really hits you in the face with it. Like, he knew how to scare you proper and make a character that is just really, really unsettling.
Yeah, Kathy Bates is great. I think James Caan is good in it, but I'm also a little like, I don't know if I believe you write books, man.
I do think there is something to, oh boy, I'm coming fresh off watching a sketch show too that you were involved in this past weekend, and something I kept thinking about too, about like what makes a well-written thing work, right? And I do think sometimes you get blessed with a great actor, and in this situation, like I think your sketch particularly, you got blessed with a very gifted actor that,
The one I directed?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and he's cooking, and he's just bringing the right energy, and it's like, okay, this was well written, this well directed, and then they got elevated because you got somebody who could really bring the juice and just make that like, that's one of the better things I watched that night. Where this is exactly that situation. James Caan's good. Could he have carried this movie if you put like, I don't know, like Susan Sarandon or something in this role? She probably would have been fine. She's a good actress.
I think Ford would have been good.
Ooh, that would have been.
The key scenes that James Caan, what he's good at in the movie, which he kind of does a little bit in Elf, are the scenes where he's trying to be appeasing and nice, even though he's under duress.
Yeah.
And there's like one scene in Elf where he brings back like the misery kind of like smile and face where he's like being tortured by Will Ferrell, but he's trying to like go play along in the moment.
Yeah.
And those are like I said, he's good. I just don't buy James Caan as an author.
Yeah.
Except one of our great tweeters, RIP.
Oh.
He would just end of tweet.
End of tweet. And I'm good. And I'm spent. But yeah, Kathy Bates picking this up. And I think Rob Reiner juiced this thing for everything he could. It was another fantastic outing. But speaking of great casting, great writing, great performances, we got to get into the end of the run. This is not the end of Rob Reiner's filmography, but certainly this is one worth talking about. It is All or A Few Good Men. I almost called it All the President's
A Few Small Men.
A Few Small Men. Few Good Men. See?
Yeah, this is my Cold Stone favorite of all of them.
Yeah, this one's your number one.
Yeah, this one is the type of movie I love, which is like I'm not big on like military movies. That's like the one thing at first I was like, I don't know if this would be a movie for me. I think right around 16, 17 though, I watched it. And I love a 90s cable classic. And that's what this is, like an elevated 90s classic. It's a chamber piece for the most part. It does have like other scenes, but this was, I think, originally a stage play. Um, I always think if Sorkin's writing and someone else is directing, it's gonna be great. Like I've never really messed with like the Sorkin TV stuff as much, other than The West Wing.
Sure.
Never done Newsroom or ever, because I've heard mixed things about that.
Yeah.
But this movie and The American President are my Reiner movies, and they're the Sorkin Reiner combo.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I just think about all the collabs that he's done, like Sorkin has done, and like anytime he works with a good director like Reiner, it's always good. Like Moneyball, Social Network, American President, and A Few Good Men. Like,
Yeah. And it's just a good, like, I mean, it's one, yeah, probably a great writer that you could have. And I think when you get Reiner, who has already been taking on so many different things that he's written, but then, you just watched him do a couple Stephen King movies, Nora Ephron. It's like he's worked with people who know how to really write a good story, which, like, hey, maybe good on him that he got the clout right away to be like, trust me with your work, but also he's great at adapting somebody's story and really capturing what their vision is. And I think that was maybe one of his gifts. It's a gift that you have to have as, I think, not just an actor, an improviser, something he could do a little bit of everything of, right? And I think when you try to understand what somebody's point of view is and that you're working with, not to say that the actors and other people don't do that, but I think there is a sensibility you need to have in order to really pick that up. And this is just a riveting courtroom drama with a fucking like en fuego scene in it, right? Like, but
oh yeah, this is also I today was listening to a interview on The Big Picture with Josh Safdie, and he was comparing Timothy Chalamet, who when I watched Murray Supreme, I was kind of comparing more to like Leonardo DiCaprio and like Basketball Diaries,
Oh,
kind of that era. But he kind of talked about comparing him to Tom Cruise. And then this movie popped in my head because watching it, I was just thinking like, this would have been a great Timothée movie.
oh
For sure.
yeah, I could have seen him being in this for sure. He
Mhm.
just has such a childish face, but I mean, I want to run through the.
But I
cast.
will say, you go back and watch A Few Good Men, you might be surprised how childish Cruise looks.
Which, I mean, he did have a young face for a long time, which I think was kind of people's hangups with him being a leading man for some time until he got this, Jerry Maguire, all that, and it kind of felt like he grew up a little bit. Which, speaking of cast list for this, I just want to run down some of the actors. Here's what we were working with: Cuba Gooding Jr., Noah Weil, now an Emmy winner. I don't know if he won an Emmy for ER or anything, but certainly now we know he did for the
with
Pit.
how much the stank they were putting on it, I'm pretty sure that was his first one.
Yeah. Christopher Guest, JT Walsh,
JT Walsh is good in it.
James Marshall from Twin Peaks.
Yep.
He's James in this.
Like one of his like kind of few big roles, I feel, outside of Twin Peaks.
Yep. Kevin Pollak, Kiefer Sutherland, Kevin Bacon, Demi Moore, Tom Cruise. And then there's Jack.
Yeah.
Old Jack Nicholson.
Which, as I've always said, is probably my favorite actor. I love the story about this movie, the big courtroom scene at the end, which is just a great watch. It's a lot of like covered shots and shots of the jury, and usually with that you wouldn't have Jack Nicholson just sit there and do the work. You'd have like a stand-in and this and that. Apparently Jack Nicholson did all the takes for all the coverage, even for people in the, sidelines, like all of that. And he was just like, I love acting. like, I think, he was a guy, like, if he liked what he was working on, he would, put it in there, like.
Yeah. I will say, I think courtroom dramas
Hell yeah.
like this.
That's all I'm going to say.
They're movies I don't reach for, but I do find myself riveted whenever I do turn one on. And I think A Few Good Men is one of those movies where, you know, when I do, and I feel like it's one of those movies I've also only watched like pieces of, but the entire thing I've seen, you know, but it's like, oh, I watched the first fourth, I watched like the second half, or I watched like the middle of it, or, you know, whatever
Mhm.
it might be. And it, so I don't know if I've ever sat down and watched it start to finish, but I know I've seen the movie. And it's just one of those movies that you feel like you can jump into and you're like, okay, where are they at right now? What's he working on? And
Mhm.
you just get everybody doing a little bit of something good. But really it is the Cruise and Jack Nicholson show here, right?
Mhm. I do also do love the JT Walsh like hotel scene is very intense.
Yeah.
Um, I love a courtroom drama. I
Yeah.
love a Grisham. Like I don't know why that's comfort food to me. Like
Yeah.
any '90s courtroom movie, The Client, love it.
The one counterpoint I'll make to that, Devil's Advocate, too
Oh, I
long.
love The Devil's Advocate. It's a bad movie, but I love it.
Too long. My God.
It's long. I don't remember being long.
Yeah.
That's
But
gotta be under 2.
this being Rob Reiner's last, no, Devil's Advocate's like 2.5 or something. It's a long movie.
Touch, but don't feel. Look, but don't see.
Taste, but don't swallow.
It's good.
Hang on, I'm gonna look up the Devil's Advocate.
They're laughing their sick fucking asses off.
That is,
Mhm.
yeah. Pacino in his like peak, like
Mhm.
being a Southern gentleman by doing this ow thing.
Mhm.
144 minutes, so it's like 2.5.
44 minutes, a good time.
It's about
Mhm.
44 to 50 minutes too long.
Delroy Lindo,
And-
come on.
Yeah. So this was like Reiner's last big, but I think he's kind of mastered all the genres by this point, right? He had his big dramas, his big comedies, his big farces, his big fantasy, his big, you know, horror, everything, right? So it kind of feel like the other ball or the other foot had to kind of drop at this point. The other shoe had to drop. Is that what I'm trying to say? The other shoe
falls.
Yeah. So he goes from this great 7-movie run and just sort of starts to sputter. And the next one, as a movie, I do have to touch on because I watched this movie more times than I would care to admit. North.
Never seen, just heard it's bad.
Oh, boy. This was definitely like a time in my life. So you talk about like 90s TV, right? Like, but this was like, we're giving you a free month of HBO. You know, have it with your cable package. You can watch HBO and do all. Because my parents would do that, and they would get the HBO, and I would watch whatever movies were like new, and it was so exciting because it was like, oh, look at this! Like this is this new movie, and then you get Elijah Wood as like this kid, right? And this like crazy idea of like him shopping for parents, and you think, oh, it's kind of fun. Like, what if you go and like try to find different parents? His parents, by the way, are played by Jason Alexander and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. So they're hot in their Seinfeld run. Yet here we are with them playing his parents. You think this got to be can't miss. This movie just felt so insincere and just so phony. But it's like a perfect like when you're a kid, you don't know the difference between a good and a bad movie. You just can kind of sense like this is entertaining, but I don't know that I love it.
Mhm.
And it's just packed with cameos. It feels just a little too much, but there's a famous Roger Ebert review, and Roger Ebert, you know, a gifted critic. If not, some people thought he was, you know, kind of a dick when he would write certain things. But his North review, I have to read the first line of this because it was so funny. You've read the review, right?
No, but I'm familiar.
Okay. It is. Oh God. All right, here we go. This is from Ebert's review of North. I'm trying to find the right line though. He says, okay, I hated this movie. Hated this movie. Hated it. Hated every simpering, stupid, vacant, audience insulting moment of it. Hated the sensibility that thought anyone would like it. Hated the implied insult to the audience by its belief that anyone would be entertained by it. I hold it as an item of faith that Rob Reiner is a gifted filmmaker. among his credits being, this Spinal Tap Sure Thing. I list those titles as an incantation against this one. North is a bad film, one of the worst movies ever made, but is not by a bad filmmaker and must represent some sort of lapse from which Reiner will recover, possibly sooner than I will.
Bars. I don't know. Yeah, Ebert, I've never seen it, so I can't say, but from what I've heard, ain't wrong.
It's not good. I think when you grow up realizing you watched this movie multiple times, because I was like, oh, it's on HBO. Let's keep watching it. And then I'm just like, oh my God, it really is. And it's just kind of an insulting end. And it turns out it does have like it's an all a dream type aspect to it, where he's like in the mall and realizes he's been like daydreaming about this whole thing. It's just, and I think it's just the whole idea of like you abandoning your parents to try and find better parents. The whole thing is supposed to realize, oh, you love your parents after all, want them back at the end, but you have to do it by a certain like time period. It's just dumb. So that's all there is to say about North. I just had to read the review because it's the highlight, I think, of that movie. And then we get to The American President. A little bit of a bounce back.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I think I don't know if this is a movie people have in high regard. I think if I had to guess critically, it's probably like, it was fine. But it's definitely like a comfort classic for me. It also came out and I watched at a time where like, I'm not thinking about politics in a general way. I'm just thinking about like, there's a president and a president's life comes with certain like responsibilities and protocols, and that is always kind of a fascinating thing when you're young, like the Secret Service, like the secret rooms, the menu, like how the everyday shoe leather of a president's like day-to-day life, not necessarily with policy or politics, just like the little things. I found that fascinating as a young person.
Sure.
And I think that's why I like the West Wing and find it also comforting, which I think during like 2020s, I got into the West Wing. I was just calling it competency porn because it's literally just like, it's a group of people in a room, like talking about their differences and like coming to an agreement like in every episode.
Yeah.
And like it's definitely kind of surface level for the most part, but it's got great performances, great dialogue, and American President feels like a spinoff.
Sure.
And I think Martin Sheen is in The American President playing like chief of staff or something. I don't know. Something like that, which is interesting. Michael J. Fox.
Yep.
This is like a Fox movie that I think falls through the cracks for a lot of people because we have such little Fox work from this time. I do love Annette Bening.
Yeah.
Well, you have that cast list up?
I sure do.
It's one of those deep casts with like a lot of faces in it.
Well, it's Michael Douglas, obviously doing the lead.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, him, Annette Bening, Martin Sheen, Michael J. Fox, Samantha Mathis, who I think is a name that people maybe recognize. You probably recognize her face more. She's done a lot of stuff. But David Paymer, great character actor. This guy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, it's the dude that when you see him, but don't sleep on Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah.
Why he showed up in so many of these Rob Reiner movies is very funny to me. I can't say I remember a lot about The American President. That was a movie my mom really enjoyed watching.
It's a mom movie for sure.
Yeah. Because it is like a whole romantic thing. Like Annette Bening is just sort of a normie that meets the president and like falls in love with him.
And her backstory is she was kind of like an ultra feminist, I think is the deal. And something from her past comes up and it's, gonna look bad on him. But he's like, no, I like my ladies to, have beliefs and stuff,
So it does sound like, though, at the very least, this movie had something to it.
I think she was at a protest and American flag got burned. Or something like that. It's something along those lines.
That's very tame in now modern days.
Yeah.
But movie good? I mean, like you said, I think
super watchable. And it's got the Sorkin dialogue, so everyone's talking like mile a minute,
Yeah. I mean, I think when you're coming off a flop or a movie that's critically panned like North, right? You're like, okay, I think I need something go back to Sorkin and be like, what
Mhm.
else can we cook up? So at least it's something that give it. But I think you're right. It's the precursor to.
He probably got pegged for being safe, if any. It's a very safe movie, but there's nothing wrong. We don't get movies like this anymore, so. And if they do, they're poorly written and look like shit, and they're on Netflix.
Yeah.
Sorry, I burped while talking, people.
That's
You can't edit around that.
we'll just deal with it.
Yeah, that one's mid-word.
But yeah, I think it's still something that people will remember, mostly because it's got memorable cast, crew. I mean, everybody involved with it. But I guess we're kind of in a run though here of movies that sort of get completely forgotten. I'm gonna list a few, and you let me know if you've seen any, because I honestly
good.
went through this list, and I don't think.
No, this is why blank check. They'll like bring up Reiner every once in a while, and they're just like, "Be such a great show. It would be a great series," but then you got this back half.
So you have Ghosts of Mississippi.
I have seen that.
Thoughts?
It's very white pandering of the black experience.
Ooh, that's not fun.
It's like any of those. It's like Green Book adjacent, if I recall.
I gotcha. Okay.
Darker though, like more of a Mississippi Burning vibe.
Which I also haven't seen. So I don't even have the
A movie where it's like the heart's in the right place, but are we doing it right?
Yeah.
That is the vibe.
I can maybe see that. Then we have The Story of Us, which is Bruce Willis and Michelle Pfeiffer.
Hey, good looking people.
I mean, certainly.
That's streaming right now. A lot of Rob Reiner stuff is streaming, which was nice.
Yeah.
After all the tragedy happened.
Yeah, and I think this is sort of where he starts to try and dig back into his bag to rediscover something, right? He's like, I'm going to do a rom-com now. Alex and Emma, which is a movie I don't even know if I've ever heard of.
No.
That is, yeah, another rom-com. Kate Hudson and Luke Wilson. Man, that's got to be a deep cut.
Song Blue, Kate Hudson.
That Kate Hudson. I'll tell you what, my mom was like,
Another mom movie.
she was like, I love that movie. She's like, Kate Hudson can sing. It's like, okay, I guess. Rumor has it was the next one then.
That was a movie.
It certainly was a movie. Did you like the movie?
I don't know if I saw it. I just remember like that is a movie I have heard of.
What is the premise of this one? Is this another
A
rom-com?
rumor has it.
Rumor has it. Yeah. Looks like concept of a woman that learns her mother and grandmother may be the inspiration for The Graduate.
I did see this movie, Kevin Costner, very hot Kevin Costner. I've seen this movie on a plane.
Yep. Jennifer Aniston, Kevin Costner, Shirley MacLaine, and Mark Ruffalo.
Eh?
It's an interesting premise.
Oh yeah, and it's I remember from watching it being when did that come out?
2005.
So I was like 15. Yeah, I remember watching it on the plane, and all I remember is I'm like, I believe Kevin Costner is doing it with Jennifer Aniston and Shirley MacLaine. Like, I believe it.
Costner's a handsome man.
But like, I feel it like it's probably the last time he had Riz in a movie.
Yeah. Because was this post what was the one that he was in? God, it's got a hell of a cover, isn't it?
Draft Day?
Not Draft Day. God, I still haven't watched that movie.
Very watchable movie.
No, it's a Soderbergh movie that he was in. Like, it's like Mr. something. It's got a real like dramatic sounding name. I'll just type in Soderbergh and Kevin Costner.
Mr. Brooks?
That's it, Mr. Brooks.
But he doesn't have Riz in that. He's a serial killer.
Is he? I guess I never seen it.
Mr. Brooks is like a movie about a serial killer, and his alter ego is like he's got like a Jack, like from Fight Club, and it's the Big Hurt.
Ooh.
And so those are the scenes that movie's not good, but there are scenes that are like the water's boiling over the edge with how hard they're cooking, because it's literally Kevin Costner with an imaginary evil John Hurt like saying like, "Come on, do bad stuff." Dane Cook's in it. Dane Cook plays a photographer who gets pictures of him killing someone and blackmails him
Oh, wow.
and wants to also become a killer. And he doesn't want his daughter to find out. And spoiler, his daughter is also a killer.
Oh, shit. So
So-
everyone's a killer in this movie.
Demi Moore's in it. And I'm only bringing it up because there's so many Reiner people in it.
Yeah, I guess it really is. It's like filled with them. So obviously that was Mr. Brooks we were just talking about, not Rumorhead, which I think I maybe give that one a look because that sounds interesting and I feel like I have a lot of affection for The Graduate.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly because of Mike Nichols' aspect to that. But The Bucket List was 2007 then. I know what that movie is, but I never watched
Good
it.
premise. Not a great movie. A lot of green screen.
Freeman and Nicholson basically just trying to work on down their bucket list.
Yeah, so it's like they both have terminal illnesses, and it's like Morgan Freeman is like Salt of the Earth working man, and Jack Nicholson's like a rich asshole, and they kind of meet each other during like maybe chemo or something.
Sure.
And they decide that they're going to make a list of all the stuff that they wanted to do in their life and they're going to do it. And it's all like doing all this kind of crazy stuff, but they're doing all this crazy stuff and it's just so green screeny. Like they're skydiving, they're in Egypt or whatever, like it's a lot of that, but it's good premise, just wasn't that good.
It's just kind of baffling. Like when somebody loses their fastball, you're just like, man, where did it go? Like, there's there really nothing? Like I said, I think maybe rumor has it is maybe the closest thing that I've can see on here to him kind of like rediscovering anything. Because then after The Bucket List, which yeah, it sounds like okay, perfectly serviceable.
Probably another great plane movie.
Yeah, plane movie is a really good way to put it. But yeah, you go from a rewatchable to a plane movie. Like
Yeah.
that's not a compliment. Flipped, The Magic of Belle Isle, and So It Goes, Being Charlie, LBJ, which feels like a movie I should have known more about.
That Cranston?
I think it might be. Let me take a look.
I know Cranston did an LBJ movie, or at least
Let's see. Film stars Woody Harrelson as LBJ.
Oh, okay.
Can you believe what they're trying to do to me in this country, man? I just want to get us into Vietnam and get out.
Mm-hmm.
I can see it. That doesn't sound good. I gotta be honest.
No.
Good cast though. Bill Pullman, Richard Jenkins, Michael Stahl David.
Yeah, I mean, people I think will keep coming back because he seems like a nice guy to work with.
Well, I
But
think-
it's unfortunate that it ends with Spinal Tap too.
Yeah, because then we had Shock and Awe, Albert Brooks Defending My Life, which I think was a documentary. Then God and Country, which I don't know what that is. And then Spinal Tap 2 was last year, 2025. And that was his last movie. Because yeah, I think we should talk a little bit just about the person, right? The fact that Reiner was not making banger after banger following 1992 doesn't necessarily mean, like you said, that people weren't willing to work with him. I think people still liked Rob Reiner. I think he was a genuinely good person who fought for a lot of good things.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about he had a role in The Bear.
Yeah, he would pop in like 30 Rock and stuff like that.
Yeah. I know. Let me pull up his acting credits late career because he did definitely. That was almost more, I think, what you can.
And I think he's in Shock and Awe.
I think you might be right. Say he was in The Bear. He was in New Girl. Was he her dad?
I never watched New Girl.
I think he was also, or he might have been one of the characters' dads.
Mhm.
Maybe.
I heard in that show, Zoe Deschanel, kind of not like other girls. I heard she's a little quirky.
Oh yeah, that's kind of the premise.
Oh,
I know.
this new girl, she's kind of different, kind of quirky.
My God. But yeah, like you said, 30 Rock, he showed up. Wolf of Wall Street, he was in.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yeah, from 2000 onward, he was doing some interesting stuff. He showed up in an episode of Curb.
Yes. Curb, was that with the Groats disease?
So, which is a good episode.
Mm-hmm.
But, I think we should talk about the fact, though, that he was a political activist, very liberal. he fought for a lot of LGBTQ plus rights, early childhood education, environmental protection, campaigned for a lot of like, I think he fought for against California's same-sex marriage ban. So he was fighting for the legalization of same-sex marriage in California at the time. And I guess he and his wife, Michelle, who also tragically passed away at the same time he did in the event. They co-founded a place called the American Foundation for Equal Rights. And, it just seemed like he was always fighting for the little person or the people who never were given the same equality or, rights that everybody else had. And I think it's a commendable thing, an aspect of his career that you can't really overlook just because those people are the type of people that maybe are never public about it either. But he was, but
Mhm.
it's those types of people that you overlook when it comes to like, fighting for justice and keeping people, in mind that you normally wouldn't make time for or put in your heart. So I think it's a terrible loss that he was gone. I think his movie career, his acting career, everything, he's got things that are gonna be. I mean, he's gonna be the anchor, right, on the Oscar montage coming up here.
Yeah,
Right?
that would be my coulda, woulda, shoulda. Would be good sizzle reel.
Oh, so what do you got to say for the good sizzle reel? What would you, or is that kind of our power rankings? Like, what would you put on it? I don't know. We're kind of we're teetering between territories here.
That's why I was like, that's like my coulda, woulda, shoulda, because it's hard to say could, would, or should.
Yeah, because he kind of did,
Yeah.
right? Like, what didn't he do? I had for show me the franchise, like movies you wish he had made, and I guess the only thing that really stuck out to me is maybe him trying more of those Stephen King short stories, adapting more of those. I would have loved to see him try to dig back into one of those later in his career,
Mhm.
but maybe he lost the appetite for him at that point.
Maybe, yeah.
I don't know. It would have been nice, I think, to see him and Stephen King recollaborate and try to do something else, like especially for some of the Stephen King adaptations that didn't work as well.
Hmm.
Because I think when he found Flanagan, obviously that's kind of rejuvenated a lot of the King stuff.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, definitely could use another. I don't know if he would have been the one for Finders Keepers, but could use a new Finders Keepers movie and
how did that? What was the movie with Tom Hiddleston again?
Life Chuck.
Yeah,
That one was decent. It's, really well made, good acting, but it's very much like a Stephen King jump around short story where um it's definitely one, if what I recall reading the short story or having it read to me, it's a better read than a watch, but Flanagan's got that juice, so it's still watchable.
yeah.
Hamill's cooking.
Which what isn't Hamill cooking
Mm.
nowadays? He already was cooking in the SpongeBob movie
Oh
recently.
man.
I guess that's the one I would maybe point at. I would have loved to see maybe Rob Reiner try something that is a little more, still kind of like grounded in that regard. Because I like Mike Flanagan doing the more supernatural
Mhm.
stuff. I think he's got such a good handle on that. Not that I don't want him to ever challenge himself to do something different. Like Dark Tower, he's obviously going to be playing with a lot of genres if and when he ever gets there.
Well, just The Exorcist and the Carrie. He's working on The Exorcist and a Carrie TV show, or I don't know if it's a movie or TV show, but just both have to do well.
Yeah,
Mm.
but I think that's the spot where it would be nice to see somebody else, step in and be able to handle that stuff. I think in a way that Reiner would have.
It's too much for one movie, and they really did a terrible TV show. But that book, I keep trying to get you to read, the 11/17/63, whatever the date JFK got shot.
Oh yeah,
That would have been a good Reiner project, but that's either a 3-hour movie or like 2-part movie. That's a 11/26/73 for good
yeah.
situation.
I think there's sometimes I'm like I just want the whole movie, and I kind of felt that way with Wicked, which we'll talk about that more in our.
Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to the whole bloody affair with Wicked.
Yeah, because I think it's gonna be a little bit better of a watch.
I need that Topher Grace Wicked cut.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The Wicked cut. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything else which you would show me the franchise
No.
without?
And I also feel bad that I actually the director who I'd really want to do that movie is Zemeckis though,
Oh,
because it's like playing in like 60s and futuristic stuff and time travel. So
what if you just had Scorsese doing like part 2 of JFK?
hey,
Or no, or was it Oliver Stone? Who did
Oliver
JFK?
Stone did JFK.
Okay, yeah, never mind.
I don't want Oliver Stone to touch that movie. I love Oliver Stone movies, to be fair, and I love JFK, the movie. But it's not the right JFK story for him to
Yeah.
be touching.
I know. I actually wouldn't mind Scorsese doing that though, because I feel like Hugo isn't underrated. I think, and I love
Hugo
Scorsese.
not even talked about in the 4-hour Scorsese doc, which is excellent, but they don't even talk about Hugo, which is interesting.
That's wild. I like that movie quite. That one surprised me.
Yeah, I wish I would have saw it in theaters with the 3D, but
Yeah.
but as far as Reiner, no, I can't think of any coulda, shoulda. And again, it's a little tough with the situation. I feel to kind of like
Yeah.
this should have happened, or I wish this happened, but life.
Life
To quote
happens.
Leo from One Battle After Another.
Yeah.
Life.
I think though, based on where he was going, I think he was going to find maybe a second life as kind of being the old dad in a lot more shows, because I think The Bear is maybe one of the best tributes to him. Just really having fun with the role. He looked like people were having a good time with him.
No, that was my favorite part of last season of Bear was him.
Yeah, I think it was so fun, and just seeing him kind of be the the investor or whatever and the other stuff. That would have been great to see if they brought him back, which they probably would have for the next season. Which is that the last one?
I thought there was one more.
They'll probably have to do some kind of tribute to him. So I mean, hope that would have been the coulda, woulda, shoulda, seeing him kind of help take the Bear to the finish line. Let Jeremy Allen White lick his wounds after the Bruce Springsteen doc.
Yeah. I want to see.
I know, me too, but it's a home watch now for sure. Anything else, or should we get to power rankings here?
We can do power rankings.
All right. I think we're just going to keep this easy. Top 3 movies. Let's just, I think we both said our number ones are already, but what you're filling it out with?
I'll just lay it out. I would say A Few Good Men is my number 1.
Nice.
Then I'd probably do Stand By Me. And then I'd do Misery.
Ooh, both kings.
Of course.
Yeah, which we don't have to say a lot else about all those, but I think that's a very Fred pick right there. Those are very Fred picks if I had to reach for this.
Got my 90s thriller courtroom, and I got 2 kings, and one of them is a cozy king.
Yeah, cozy king in air quotes, but it is. I know what the cozy meaning. It's very True Detective night country.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which I've been gearing up now that we've been in -0 weather. I've been thinking about I might have to throw on that North Country or whatever it was called. Night Country, yeah.
Yeah, Night Country. God, the movie. That show just had the right feeling for the right time, especially living here.
That's what I'm saying, and I feel like because it was a dense show, I think it'll be nice to rewatch. So that's my plan.
I think if people watched that True Detective season and they've never seen Misery, they could handle it.
That's like my friend Steve and I, even though I like this movie, I don't love it. Hateful Eight. If there's a big blizzard, I do love throwing on Hateful Eight.
Yeah. I do. I dig it. I also will say for my 3, I think A Few Good Men's got to be in there. I won't even do it in particular order because I think the other 2 don't really matter. When Harry Met Sally is my number 1 with a bullet. Few Good Men is probably in there. I am going to say, though, for the 3rd one, ooh, this is tough. But I might have to say
North.
no. I'm deciding between Spinal Tap right now and whether I do want to do Princess Bride or throw in a Stephen King because I like all those movies a lot. I think I'm going to settle on Spinal Tap though.
There you go. Diversify.
I like it had such a great first impression on me. I still don't think I'm very interested in the sequel, but I do love the music from the first one. And I think the fact that they were just riffing and on coke, maybe, I love it. I think the music just still holds up and it's very funny. So it's a great entry point for Rob Reiner. I think if there's a coulda, woulda, shoulda from today, I think I need to see a couple more of these movies or revisit them. Stand By Me for sure. A Few Good Men for sure. I wouldn't even mind rewatching Misery one more time.
Yeah, well, now's a good time to watch Misery. It's always a good time to watch A Few Good Men. You just have to watch it standing,
Yeah.
holding like a shitty beer
Yeah.
in front of your TV. But yeah, that's how you watch A Few Good Men, is like either with a beer or like your hands on your hip standing.
I don't smoke, and I feel like I'd almost want a cigarette for that.
Mhm. Yeah, that was like when like, I was bad, like 15, like experimenting with cigarettes. I do remember like being at a friend's house and watching Independence Day.
Mhm.
And it's got all those like rooms of people planning. I remember smoking, watching that, like, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
What are we gonna do about these aliens?
But you got oh god,
Judd Hirsch.
Judd Hirsch, yeah. Just
Mhm.
David, my David.
He pulls like a Sully in the second one.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so ridiculous. But I think that's it for our episode here, Fred. Rest in peace, Rob Reiner. Obviously, a great legacy he's leaving behind. Terrible end, but obviously today we were talking more about all the great things he
Yeah.
left, and I think he's left a great pathway for a lot of movies. There's so many things he influenced, but lest we leave on a somber note, hopefully everybody goes and finds some good stuff to watch. But where can they go and watch you, Fred? Anything you want to plug?
I don't have anything at the moment.
Dang, I even had a great segue.
I know. I've been kind of in like a post a post Few Good Men run with performing. No, it's just coming out of the holidays. I need to figure I'll get some stuff going.
Yeah.
Don't worry, I'm around.
All right. Fred is around. I'm around too. I'm not doing too much right now. So I think I'll just plug the feed. So if you like this episode, please remember to rate and review it. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, YouTube. Join our Patreon for just $1 a month. You can get exclusive new content. I saw that for some Patreon subscribers, if you're already a free subscriber to the Patreon, you can join the paid tier for 50% off. Ooh, for the first month. That's a Patreon offer. That's something that we obviously give a thumbs up on. If you want to jump in on that, go for it. Seriously, you guys, we are putting out one bonus episode a month. It's fun stuff. This month, we're doing Oscar favorites. Talking about our favorite Oscar years. You won't want to miss that because it's a lot of a tee up for things that we're going to be talking about coming up next, which, if you stay tuned for next time, we'll be talking about the best TV of 2025.
Tune in for that.
Yeah, it's going to be good stuff. Special thanks to Nick Spitza and Mike Schwantz for our opening and closing theme songs. And thank you all for listening. We'll see you next time.
As you wish.
Oh,
I did the thing.
I see what you did there.
I've got no cares, 'cause all I want to do is charge my phone and drive listening to you. And what they talk about will always be up to you.
I was early.